Hello and what is up YouTube? My name is G3Iron and welcome to today's discussion. Today we are talking about a true-false poll that I made here the other day, which thank you so much to the 177 voters of you who have voted on this particular poll, and thanks so much to everybody for dropping their comments down on this poll. The discussion topic was the following. It was a true or false poll. And here's the question, true or false? Path of Exile, the core experience apart from the league mechanic. This is a specific discussion apart from Sanctum. Take your experiences, your failures, your resolve bars exploding, and your inspiration immediately disappearing as soon as you get hit by some minuscule piece of damage that otherwise wouldn't bug you. Take that part of the game out of this discussion. Path of Exile, the core experience, is in its most enjoyable or best state for a long time. And I wanted to make this poll because there's been a lot of discussion about this. Maybe I shouldn't say a lot. There's been some discussion, both on the forums as well as on Reddit, as well as in our guild chat. I've just seen it in all of the normal places that I go to check where people are talking about things and where I go to talk to people about things about Path of Exile. And it seems like this is a discussion point that is coming up rather regularly throughout the community, that Path of Exile as a game across the board is in a pretty good spot at the moment. Now, this comes as a little bit of a shock to me. I have taken a break from Path of Exile over the last year, and this 320 cycle is the first time that I've been back for about 12 months playing Path of Exile and covering it and enjoying it the way how I like to enjoy it. And it's fascinating because bringing myself up to speed to where POE is at coming into 320, it sounded like everybody pretty much was upset. That's putting it mildly. That's putting it as family friendly as I can. A lot of people were really upset with where the game was at, with the direction and the heading and the trajectory, whatever kind of language you want to use to express where POE was at and where POE was going and where POE has been headed as a direction. It seemed like the general tenor of discussions over the last year have been a lot of drama, a lot of miscommunications, a lot of missteps, and a lot of animosity built up between the community and the player base and streamers and Grinding Gear Games and just a whole lot of drama. And frankly, I was quite thankful that I missed all of that. And now I'm back in and I'm playing and I'm enjoying the game. I'm playing over in Hardcore Souls Self-Found Ruthless because I'm a masochist, I guess. And I'm having a great time playing over there. Not really interacting much with the league mechanic. Definitely not ever going to make it to maps. And I'm just having a blast. I'm having a blast playing through the campaign, which so many people so frequently complain about. I'm having a blast playing over there. And I was shocked putting up this poll because I thought, all right, I'll throw out the poll and we'll see where folks are at just in the G3 family of gamers and where folks are at here. And the tenor, again, the tone of the discussion in bringing myself up to speed has been basically assuming that everybody kind of hates where Path of Exile is at overall, and it would take a miracle for anybody to want to come and play Path of Exile again. And it seems like the general consensus is people like where POE is at right now. People are playing POE, people are enjoying POE. People are just in general having a good time. Like there's a general lack of drama or sources for complaint. And so when I put out this poll, I thought surely this was going to be like a 50-50 poll or maybe a 60-40 poll with people saying, no, I hate leveling in the campaign and I wish they would bring back this and that, and no, I wish they would do this or that, or no, I can't wait for PoE 2. And I'm shocked, over 170 votes at the time of this recording, and almost 80% say true. PoE at its core is more enjoyable now than it's been. Now, I understand there's some vagueness to this question, so, add whatever disclaimers and sort of, little niche comments in to qualify the conversation. But it's fascinating to me that a lot of players are saying, no, this actually feels really good right now. Maybe that's just like survivor bias. The people who are still playing PoE feel like PoE is pretty good. Maybe that's something of what's going on here. But this was fascinating to me to see the sheer numbers. And I'm going to substantiate this, that this is a wider sentiment than just us inside the Good Guy Gaming community. This is something that is pervasive throughout the Path of Exile community at large. I'm going to pull up a couple of Reddit threads here and a forum thread and just share with you. There's a couple of other spots where folks are saying, look, we really like where POE is at right now. The following is a post by 1699X, and it's got 1,800 upvotes 16 hours ago on the Path of Exile subreddit. And this is what 1699X says. I have been playing Path of Exile for about 9 years, which is crazy, ever since Sacrifice of the Vol came out. And Edziri was the pinnacle boss fight, and everyone was lusting after fragments. Leagues came and went, and more recently my enjoyment has been noticeably decreasing. Thinking about it, it had to do with crafting tools being given and then being taken away, and also Arch Nemesis's oppressive nature. Today, it feels like my enjoyment of PoE has drastically went up again. The builds to play this league seem endless. Maps are fun again, and I find myself thinking about PoB at work. Coming home and ravenously starting up PoE, PoB, and a suite of Chrome tabs to go along with it. I feel genuinely refreshed, especially so since Melee received some new toys to play with. The excitement is back. With that said, I hope GGG continues improving core tenets of the game, rare mobs, crafting, and loot, with the coming leagues. I think we as a community have the power to do good by actively and constructively voicing our concerns and letting Grinding Gear games know what works well and what doesn't. It's important not to be vile or toxic, however. Looking at Reddit this league, I think GGG has made a lot of players happier than last league. Stay sane and enjoy the things that excite everybody. And then he went in and made an edit. Of course, version 1.1 was Sacrifice of the Vol, not 1.6. Okay, so there you go. So you can see that there's more folks, like, again, 1,800 upvotes here, and this has been upvoted with 79% upvotes. So it's not everybody who's voting on it. This is not, 100% consensus. But it's interesting the number of folks that are willing to say, this is looking good. Path of Exile, in its core experience right now, feels relatively good. Now, there's plenty of comments in this thread, and if you want to read through the thread, it's linked down below in the video description. There's plenty of comments in the thread that are giving disclaimers or pushback or friendly critiques, right? To say, well, when Path of Exile felt as bad as it's felt over the last X number of leagues, of course it's due for it to feel better now. Several, leagues after feeling badly, like incremental gains after feeling in maybe its worst state, feels better now. There's a couple of other folks that are saying things maybe a little bit more akin to saying, look, what feels good now is simply a distraction from the things that used to feel good. And in that regard, they felt better, and those things aren't there anymore. So the things that feel good only feel good now because by comparison, the other stuff that you've got to interact with feels worse. I don't know if I buy all that. I think when I look back over really the grand scheme of things, this is going to sound like a little bit like back in my day, because we're the old people here. But a little bit of this is a back in my day. Back in the day, we as players, we wanted UI updates, we wanted graphic updates, we wanted guild updates, we wanted community updates, we wanted crafting options, we wanted more endgame options, we wanted more endgame bosses, we wanted Atlas resets, and Grinding Gear Games, for the large part of all of those things, has given us stuff. There's still a few things here and there that they haven't given us, but it was not that long ago. Whereas a community player base, we were going, oh my goodness, there's no way that we would ever have something like a guild hideout. Boom, they gave us the guild hideout. There's no way that they're going to give us an ability to create templates for hideouts and then edit them. I recognize these are relatively smallish things, but these are some nice quality of life things. Then when you go on top of that and you go, well, are they continually pumping out leagues? They're still pumping out leagues, yes, while they're working on PoE 2. They're working on trying to give us a more difficult experience, a more challenging experience, maybe reeling in the zoom aspect of Path of Exile a little bit, while at the same time still increasing our power level and giving us new toys to play with. The mapping experience and the style of content that players used to complain about. Players used to feel like you had to play X content in order to generate currency to fund your build. And it seems like there's multiple different strategies that are available. If you look at any of the top big-time softcore economy-shaping players, you can see that they're playing a wide variety of builds this league. It's not like everybody's playing one build. 40% of the league's not playing one meta skill or one meta ascendancy. 40% of the league's not even playing one character class at the moment. So it's really amazing right now, where after leagues and leagues and leagues of players saying, hey, we would like things to be kind of smoothed out and even and lots of different builds available, we're kind of at that stage right now in Sanctum. Lots of different builds are available to take on top-end endgame content for a lot of different players and target farming the style of content you want to interact with. For the most part, is profitable. Are there some things that are more profitable than others? Absolutely, but that's the case in any game that has a live social economy that's actually alive and players get to dictate, at least somewhat, what is valued and what is not valued. So some of that is just having human beings in an economic environment where there's supply and demand. Some of that is surely dictated by the game and what drops, but others of it isn't. And so it's really amazing to see where we're at in the moment of Path of Exile, and to hear from a lot of people that, hey, Path of Exile actually feels pretty darn good right now. Over on the forums, this is a post that's in the general discussion thread by Russ Clauduolin. My apologies if I'm butchering your name. You've got a wonderful amount of beautiful supporter tags here, by the way. Wonderful trophy cabinet there that you got. And the title of this post is simply, Good Game, Bad League. I wanted to thank you for the challenges you made to the game, but I must quit earlier again because the league is only available to specific builds. And throughout this 3-page discussion list, there's several different folks who are saying, look, the league is bad, this is bad, characters, you need to have a specific character, and some people are offering suggestions for what the league could look like and what players should do and their strategies. But here's another poster, Shedrek saying, same feeling here, OP, game is good, maybe even in a great spot. The league is a miss for me. But I'm just trying to slow down today in today's discussion to say, wow, game is in a good spot. That is not something that I've heard as I have casually glanced in or listened or put my ear to the ground and gotten caught up over the last 2 months of coming back to Path of Exile. It's been a lot of drama. It's been people complaining about Arch Nemesis. It's been people complaining about endgame stuff. It's been people complaining about lack of build diversity. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, I don't see any of the things that people are complaining about. I don't see it when I'm looking at POE Ninja and I'm seeing diversity there on the ladder. I'm not seeing it among players that are playing the game, either in global chat or in guild chat. I'm not seeing players hitting walls with their character going, oh, I just can't conquer this. I'm seeing that a lot as related to the league mechanic, but not seeing it regarding the game. And so it's in general. And so we're in a very interesting spot at the moment with Path of Exile. I wanted to highlight 2 comments here out of the 16 comments that were made on our post here with the poll with 177 votes, 79% saying true PoE core is better now than it's been. And one is from Pavlov's Dog, who said, other than rare monster mods and crafting, I would say most of the game is quite a bit better. But those 2 things have such a significant impact on all aspects of the game that it's hard to make a definitive overall judgment. I think that's an interesting and well-nuanced position to say, hey, look, here's my two gripes, my 2 critiques, monster mods and crafting. And I would agree with you to a certain extent. I'm over there playing Ruthless, and there are times where I'm bumping into rare monsters, and it's a slog to kill them, particularly Leech and particularly Life Regen. Life Regen you can deal with. Leech, I'm not even sure how to deal with, especially there were a couple of rare mods that I bumped into with my Necromancer with, having a huge army of minions. Like it whatever this monster had, it either had Pierce or something on it. It had GMP something. But it was just hitting all of my minions all at the same time. It wasn't doing hardly any damage to my minions, but whatever damage it was doing to my minions, it would actually regain whatever health it had taken in damage in the meantime. It was nigh unkillable. And then there have been a couple annoying instances where, overlapping invulnerable auras with maybe 1 or 2 other, like a hasted aura or something like that. That's been obnoxious. But guess what? Part of that is just Path of Exile. Those are stories that are even memorable moments that I've even got that are not that bad. I have not ripped to them. I would feel different, I'm sure, if I'd lost hardcore characters to those things. But because of the pace of play, I'm at least able to look at the rares that I'm interacting with and potentially engaging and going, okay, I don't want to interact with this. I don't want to take time to fight with this. So I feel you there. I'm somewhat sympathetic there to monster mods. And then crafting. I feel like crafting, we've got more options now than we've ever had for crafting. I recognize a lot of the power levels for crafting have changed and been tweaked, whether it's delve fossils, whether it's metamod crafting, whether it's the weird flip-flop of divines are now worth exalteds and exalteds are now no longer worth as much, or whether it's, end game very specific targeted crafts that were very niche but top end for harvest crafting. That goes back to Harvest leagues ago. I think Harvest in general, as soon as it came out, we even made several discussion videos on it. I thought Harvest was a mistake from the get-go. It was a bad idea to give that level of player power and then eventually try and scale it back while still including Harvest in the game. I think that was a bad call, but I could be wrong on that as well. Anyway, I'm sympathetic to this, and so this is why I wanted to highlight Pavlov's dog's comment to say I'm sympathetic to it. I get that there's aspects of the game that we all can say could improve right now, but it's interesting to note, and it'd be interesting to hear your comments down below, those of you who have engaged with the discussion today. When you are thinking of Path of Exile at its zenith, at its peak, at its height, when you most enjoyed Path of Exile, outside of right now, in its core game structure, I'm not talking about League, I'm not talking about interacting with the League mechanic, when you are just playing Path of Exile, other than hyper-focusing on the League, what other League could you say you've enjoyed Path of Exile the most, outside of 320? And so I think that's the natural follow-up question to this. There's one other comment that I want to read for you here, and it ties into this question. The comment here is from Red, who says, if we define long time as the past 3 leagues, then yes. And then Red made the edit. I've changed my mind. It's the best it's been since 314. Ultimatum began a long downwards trend in my enjoyment of the game, which has been slightly improved by the Sanctum patch. And so this is the comment, again, that I want to highlight to bring it back to you all. What was the last league that the core game felt as good as it does right now? I think the game feels really good to play in its core environment. I'm not interacting hardly at all with Sanctum. Again, I'm willing to say that I'm coming with my own biases and with a lot of my own baggage to the table to say I haven't played in a long time, so maybe I'm not anywhere close to the level of burnout that some of you are at. Maybe some of you simply have burnout from playing Path of Exile, nonstop, exclusively every single league for the last several years. And that's a thing. That's a very real thing. So recognize that, and I recognize that in my own patterns over the last couple of years. But now coming back to the game, man, I feel like the game was a slog when I left at 315, 316, 317. I feel like those leagues were really, really tough to play and to enjoy. And I'm coming back in and just having a blast with it. I can't even put my finger on all of the specific reasons why I'm enjoying Path of Exile again. I can't identify it yet. And that's partly why this conversation has been helpful to me personally as a player, to listen and to read through everybody's comments and to engage with folks on Reddit, to engage with folks in the forums, and to go, yeah, you know what? There are folks out there who are making really, really good points, and points that I am resonating with in my own gameplay experience of things that I can't necessarily put into words of what I'm enjoying about coming back to Path of Exile. But a lot of people are able to put it into words, and it's making a lot of sense to the tune of almost 80% of folks, at least right here in our community, and 1,800 folks plus more enjoying Path of Exile over there on Reddit, and many, many threads that have been made on the general discussion forums in one form or another tackling this similar sort of question. Anyway, so that's today's discussion video. I'd love to hear your comments down below about this particular topic, and specifically geared towards, if not 320 Sanctum, what other league would you say the base game of Path of Exile was most enjoyable for you? And of course, if your answer is 3.6 Synthesis, well, I'm just going to say that's because it was the base game and it was the greatest league of all time. But anyway, that's that's another discussion for another day. Thanks so much for joining us. I look forward to interacting with each of your comments down below, and I hope that the ongoing 320 Forbidden Sanctum League is the league a Mirror of Galandra drops for you. Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today. You can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.